We love music. You are locked into Six Towns Radio.
The Saturdays and Sean Paul. Seamus Haji remix of the brand new single What About Us, and I've got the guy himself on the line right now as promised. Hello, Seamus.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man, I'm good. We played that, and we just played last night a DJ Saved My Life. Of course, you brought that back to life. The In Deep Classic, you brought it back up to date a few years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it was about 2004 when I first did it, and then we revisited it again around 2007. That's when, obviously, it hit the pop charts. So, yeah, and it's always been a personal favourite of mine from the sort of early 80s.
Yeah. Well, have you ever had the chance to save anybody's life with a song? Is that possible?
I do it every weekend.
Yeah, no Heimlich manoeuvre, just pure music can save somebody's life. I've probably saved a few marriages or rekindled some romances, but no saving lives. So yeah, you're known as the man to talk to if you want a dance mix of a track. You know, some of these artists who get put your way, they might have a new album coming out, or, you know, they just want to reignite their career, and you're the man to speak to, aren't you?
Well, it seems that way. Luckily, I'm still in demand, and I was a bit pop-tastic recently doing the Saturdays, obviously, and I did Girls Aloud as well, just did Kesha, and I've just been asked to remix this new girl, Amelia Lilly?
Oh, yeah.
Or X Factor.
Yeah.
Just been asked to do her new single. So, you know, it's all swings around about. One minute it's the pop stuff that's coming through, sometimes it's indie stuff that I get asked to remix, or stuff that's already quite dancing. So, yeah, I'm lucky. I'm fortunate enough to be in demand.
Yeah, definitely. And famously, you've mixed Mariah Carey, Rihanna, Rita Ora as well last year. Carly Rae Jepsen, who had a good year. So these record companies come to you and give you this track. And has there been any that you've had to turn away?
I do, actually. I'm not going to name it. I know some people do. I'm not going to say, oh, I turned down such and such. But I do turn down some of which you'd be quite surprised by, because they're really good artists. But if I don't think I can really work with the vocal or the song, or it's not going to fit into a dance format, sometimes it's down to the tempo of the original. So I don't think it can work, you know, at a sort of house tempo, then I'll decline it. So I do turn things down, and then, you know, luckily, lately, there's been a lot of good stuff coming through.
You've took Bootyluv, their song Boogie Tonight, to number 2 in the chart, and it just shows you, you know, what a different mix can do of a song. Have any of these people come back to you? You know, because obviously you don't meet these people, you're not in the studio with them, you get sent the track, you get sent the reeds to the track, you mix it. Has anyone come back to you and said, oh, thanks for what you did on that song?
Yeah, sometimes. It's quite funny, actually. I think the ones I remember were like Moby. I sort of got an email by his management saying he loved it, and the Ting Tings, they contacted me directly. And then I sort of get reports from people. Like, you know, when Mariah, I did that remix for her, I sort of got reports that she was running around New York playing it to loads of people, and she loved it. And Roisin Murphy, she's another one that I remixed.
Yeah.
She contacted me. And some of them, you know, you kind of, the ideal situation would be to get into starting to produce for some of these artists. That's kind of where I'd like to go with it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's always good to get feedback.
You go out and DJ as well. I've seen on your website you in South Africa soon, so you're still, you know, doing that as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's I'm all over the shop. So sometimes it could be, I don't know, Singapore, like I was over there in New Zealand. Then I'm off to South Africa. We're just organising an Australia tour as well in March. So, you know, I used to play a lot more in the UK, but back in the days when there were a lot of super clubs over here, and obviously it shifted away from people going out every weekend to sort of festivals and things like that, whereas around the world it's still quite fresh to them, and there's quite a lot of good things going on. So yeah, I go wherever the work is, really. Yeah,
do you get, you're obviously working for a different size crowds, but do you get a different feedback from different places around the world?
I do find that, I mean, last week I was playing for Pushka in London, and it's always nice to be back in London or the UK, because you just have that certain affinity with the crowd. You know which records are going to work. Yeah. And if they're a slightly older crowd, you've got history. And you just kind of know the terrain. When you go abroad, it can be a bit different. I think over the last few years, there's been quite an emphasis on the sort of EDM sound that's going on, that's sort of sweeping the American nation, and it's also spreading around the world. So there is quite a sort of formulaic sound that they're kind of used to. But certain territory, they are into different vibes, and it's quite interesting.
Do you get family members who don't quite get what you do, asking you to do Uncle Joe's 50th birthday?
No, that hasn't quite happened. It's funny though, I did play somewhere recently, and there were like definitely sort of two generations of people there.
Yeah.
There were people that were, sort of early 40s, and then their kids were actually in the club that they played in, and their kids were around 20 odd. And that was quite unusual, because I could play records from the good old days that were sort of had been remixed for a new dance floor, and then I could play the new stuff, and everyone seemed to know it all. So the older people would get the stuff that was a bit older, and the youngsters obviously like the more current stuff. And that was quite interesting. I was kind of mixing between the two.
Yeah. Finally, then, I've got to let you go because I know you're a busy man, but is there a song that you'd like to do a remix of, or there's a song that you just couldn't do a remix because it's already perfect?
I suppose I'd love to remix someone like Adele, if it was the right kind of song. And I suppose some stuff from back in the day, like Talking Heads, or something like that, something old that I'd like to get my hands on.
Very interesting. Thanks for getting on the phone today, Seamus. We have been playing, obviously, the Saturdays mix, and there's so much stuff of yours we do play. We're going to play Bootyluv Boogie tonight, but very nice to speak to you, mate. You take care.
Thanks a lot.